But that's not Bensberg Castle.
No, not quite. That's always our castle and goal.
Yes, and right in front of this magnificent castle stands the vehicle that we presented to you at the beginning of August from the picturesque Bensberg Castle in North Rhine-Westphalia, which is none other than the brand new Nio EL8. And back then, we were really excited about what Nio was offering us in the form of an electric SUV for up to 6 people with a huge trunk, 653 horsepower, mega acceleration from 0 to 100 in about 4.1 seconds. That placed them outside the palace. Now it's about not just finding out on the short first drive whether the Nio EL8 is the perfect electric SUV. Instead, we want to delve deeper into this hefty vehicle with you in 3 videos. Take a look inside the large electric SUV, and that means in today's video we want to conduct a traditional review and place more emphasis specifically on a comprehensive driving report on roads in our region. We aim to gauge acceleration and examine the fuel use on overland routes and in city areas. And we want to find out how practical the Nio EL8 is for everyday use. In the second video, we'll take you as always on the highway, do a consumption drive, and test the efficiency at 100, 75, 87, 100 kilometers per hour. We want to find out outside of power swapping stations, so battery swapping, can it charge quickly as well? Does it live up to what the manufacturer promises, like going from 10 to 80% in a good 20 minutes? And in a third video, we'll take it on our daily routine, where we simply cover about 1,500 kilometers in a week. We'll need to go from Neustrelitz to Rüsselsheim, then on to Cologne via Essen, Hanover and back to Neustrelitz, and we're curious to see if all of this is possible. Manage via power swap, and if that's not doable, we'll need to figure out how many charging stops are required, as I suspect that this electric SUV might end up having a higher energy consumption. Let's see how it fares in everyday use on such a lengthy road trip where we end up covering over 1,500 kilometers in the span of 3 or 4 days. But before we lose time, please check again if you're part of the einfach elektrisch community. We'd be delighted if you support us with your subscription. After all, it's free. But it gives us a chance to grow further and to showcase the latest in electromobility for you and for yourself. We would be happy if you could support us. And now, let's not waste any time with the brand new Nio EL8 and start with the review and test drive. As always, we start from the outside, beginning at the front, taking a look at the front of the new Nio EL8. That's the latest generation of electric SUV coming from Nio's lineup. And right away, we can't help but notice this tidy... In my personal opinion, it's a modern and sleek look fitting for its time. It somewhat resembles the unique design of a shark. Nice and bulky, strongly built with the clear daytime running light silhouette up here and then down here. Finally, featuring matrix LED headlights as well. This is an extremely important feature, particularly in the premium SUV category, where you're able to illuminate specific sections of the road without dazzling or obstructing oncoming traffic. I do have to admit that while the matrix LED light in the Nio EL8 is indeed quite good, it just doesn't quite match the sophistication of the digital light technology you find in a Mercedes EQS SUV. You really have to be honest and fair about this. We have already shown you that quite comprehensively in the limousine segment before. On thick, chunky slippers, here he comes. We've now got winter tires on in 20 inches with an aerodynamically optimized... That's certainly a matter of personal taste. If you're looking for something more aesthetically pleasing, you can naturally get winter rims in 21 inches, just like you can with summer wheels extending all the way up to 22 inches. Behind it, there's supposed to be a really good braking system, which we will of course find out later with you to see if it can not only accelerate to 100 in 4.1 seconds, but additionally if it can decelerate just as rapidly. One aspect that catches my eye and I really appreciate is the black lacquered section up here. Black painted mirrors highlighting the elegant window frames, which significantly enhance the stylish appearance, and beneath it there is a brand new silver grey metallic finish. I think it looks very, very insane on the car. Overall, even if Stefan takes a step back in the overall silhouette, it gives, in my opinion, a modern and forward-looking impression. And it is, of course, also equipped with the latest assistance systems for piloting in the semi-autonomous area, which means up to... Unfortunately, the combination of sensors and various high-resolution camera systems is intended to ensure maximum safety for us during the drive and, on the other hand, fully support us to the greatest extent possible on the road when we want assistance. Sleek, clear rear section with the continuous light strip, yet still conveying a certain presence, making it look nice and wide. Comes across as nice and robust, giving a strong impression, and it offers space for as many as 6 people. In the standard version, this vehicle starts at €82,990. For those who are seeking a bit more luxury, the executive variant is available and we offer it for a price of €87,990. Then you even have a fixed center armrest in the back. Then also nice comfortable seats that can be adjusted for a power nap. That means you have a sort of reclining position there, which I will demonstrate to you later on. And naturally you have seat heating available on all seats with both front and rear seat ventilation and a soothing seat massage feature to enhance comfort. Yes, the battery is not included, you can rent it. The small battery has 75 kilowatt hours gross, 73.5 kilowatt hours net. For €169 monthly, or the large battery pack we have on board with 100 kilowatt hours gross and 90 kilowatt hours net available for €289 monthly. Those who say they don't want a monthly, they aren't interested. They wish to buy it, they pay an extra €12,000 for the small battery pack and an extra €21,000 for the large battery pack. Yes, and otherwise it almost comes with everything as standard. Base color white is standard. Then the metallic paint options start with black and silver metallic for €1,000, and for €2,000 more, you can also get a nice beige metallic or a dark green metallic. What we demonstrated at the beginning of August. Yes, included on board are 653 horsepower of all-wheel drive, meaning we consistently have 2 electric motors installed, one strategically placed on the front axle and one on the rear axle, that are supposed to provide this power. Also included is a comprehensive standard equipment package up to the panoramic glass sunroof. Privacy glazing, so actually the car leaves nothing to be desired. The only thing you could probably still add for €1,200 would be, so to speak, the trailer hitch, which is also important, and we will come to the towing capacity later. And what you can also add besides the standard 20-inch rims are then 21-inch and 22-inch rims. So in that sense, the car is pretty much fully outfitted and loaded in its standard base configuration. Yes, NIO offers attractive leasing options, but what I find even more exciting are the attractive subscription terms. That means a subscription includes everything like GEMA, insurance, and so on. You pay a monthly amount and then you essentially have the Nio EL8 included within a specific kilometer range, so to speak. This is probably also the system that is most frequently opted for at NIO. In a way, an all-around carefree package. So I could imagine that some of you might even be inclined to lean towards a subscription model. Definitely check out the new site for some super exciting stories that you don't want to miss out on. We are curious to look under the hood and see if the car comes with a frunk, and we find out it actually doesn't have one. What it does feature are hood vents, and it has a nice cover, and then everything appears to be closed off. People might be inclined to ask, why is there no frunk available in this model? This is the bag where Nio typically includes a Type 2 charging cable as standard and also a Schuko emergency set. And this volume, I'm not entirely certain what it is, perhaps 20 or 25 liters. It would be absolutely ideal if you could store it here, because then it wouldn't keep awkwardly getting in the way whenever you're trying to move things around, right?
Yes, that's right.
So we're about to come to the realization that we actually don't have any suitable way to properly store these 20 or 25 liters sensibly anywhere. That's why I urge all true enthusiasts of refined drinking sports to carefully consider if it really makes sense to store your charging gear up front in an electric car, where there should indeed be plenty of space available. I'd suggest we go ahead and listen to how it sounds, Stefan.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go ahead and begin.
Most of you naturally place the utmost importance on the trunk of the vehicle, which is the area at the back meant for storing luggage. And as is customary in this category of vehicles, it features an electrically operated trunk. In your daily lives, most of you will probably not travel with 6 people, which is the reason why I've opted to fold down the third row of seats. Doing this provides us with a generous 810 liters of trunk volume here, even with the executive equipment. When we fold down the third row of seats, there is a small compartment available where you can store a few items. However, it doesn't quite accommodate all of our belongings, which implies that some rearrangement might be necessary. Sure, we can spread it out here, but where do we put the bag, Stefan?
Yes, it's really difficult. There's nothing on the sides either, like a secret compartment or anything where you could store it away. Yeah, that's not really coolly handled.
That is indeed why we often tend to favor the Franco. Then when we electrically fold up the entire third row of seats, then we will indeed observe that the original 810 liters actually get reduced to roughly about 265 liters. And if by that time we still haven't managed to get our Frank because he won't just magically appear from nowhere, then unfortunately the bag keeps being even more in the way right here. And then those 265 liters suddenly become even less available storage volume, because you will certainly agree with me that it's essential to have charging cables along when you're driving an electric car. And that's why we're more of a fan of Frank, because we don't have to deal with all that fuss. If we pack it here and have the luggage on top of it, we need to take it out just to reach the charging cable back and forth repeatedly. That's all complete nonsense. By the way, we haven't talked about this yet. The car is 5.10 meters long, 1.98 meters wide, and 1.75 meters high. I'm 6 feet and 1 inch tall, and on these 5 feet and 9 inches, you can mount a roof rack,
No.
where you have another 75 kilograms. If you invest in the 1,200 euros for the tow hitch, then you have a brake trailer load of up to 2 tons. I think that's really solid. That's really great. And with the 653 horsepower and 850 Newton meters of torque, I believe you have plenty of power to haul horse trailers, a sports boat, or perhaps even towing a travel trailer. And maybe also for the cycling enthusiasts, a possibility with 100 kilograms of tongue weight. A bike rack or perhaps even a trunk box could be useful if you really plan to travel with 6 people here. To pack up, because 100 kilograms of tongue weight is quite a lot.
Something fits on, yep.
Outside, we've shown you everything. Let's go inside. We have wonderful double glazing, which means 2 panes connected with a film, which will hopefully improve the internal noise insulation further. We'll be measuring the interior noises with you, as otherwise I have to say new. Simplicity has definitely been incorporated here. It almost reminds me a little bit of a Tesla. Everything up here is really nicely padded with a sort of plastic faux leather. Then there's also this beautiful pattern. I'm not quite sure if it's bamboo. It's meant to be a natural material. There's faux leather here too, though honestly it could have been padded a bit more for those who enjoy resting their arms. We basically have a setup here that up. Then, the door unlock button leading to bliss. Here we simply have 4 power window controls available to use. Mirrors are operated by a monitor, and emergency release is below. This is all nicely soft too, feels good with the plastic. There's a rubber mat inside. In this area, it's a slightly firmer type of plastic, so everything is well lined to ensure that nothing rustles or makes any clattering noises. And the best part for all the fans of refined soft close features, it also comes with soft close, of course. That means the door closes in a nice and smooth manner. And within, the vehicle's interior thoroughly impresses with its elegant simplicity. What's meant here is a lovely, insane area. It's modern, with everything neatly organized, with no random switches here and there, or this, that, and the other distracting elements scattered around. Naturally, that might require making some compromises. Compromises, namely, in the controls, where you might otherwise easily adjust the ventilation or something else. Is all of this done electronically these days, so to speak? You have to get used to it a bit. However, we found with the over 2,000 kilometers road trip of the Nio ET7 that it's actually really cool, and once you've grasped that for yourself, you don't really need it at all. Right, and I'll say, as the old saying goes, yeah, I really need some sort of mirror adjustment here to ensure I don't end up scratching my rims. Well, sorry, I mean, if you don't have your car, so to speak, with the size here at 5 meters 10 and 1 meter 98 in width from the sense of space, plus the support of the 360-degree camera systems. So I think if you need mirrors adjusted, you're doing it wrong, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I might say perhaps consider taking a few additional parking lessons at the driving school again. That could potentially help. However, I don't want to sound presumptuous or condescending. Yeah, what's great is the latest gen head-up display, and it's even evolved more. Compared to the Nio ET7, this display offers improved options. The driver display is very nicely integrated into the motor mount and always stays well in view even when you're adjusting the steering wheel, which is beautifully high resolution and doesn't bother you at all, but instead clearly conveys the essential information you need. With flat sides on top and bottom, it's nice and grippy, pleasantly thick, and it feels really good. Is the Nio steering wheel also simplicity with haptic buttons, where you can very, very nicely control everything related to autopilot on the left side and everything related to infotainment on the right side? I think it's very well executed, especially here with the elevation. Nicely done in this silver golden hue. It truly appeals to me. That adds a touch of quality, right? Also, it's this long, you see, like that. Then we have nice ambient lighting in the footwell in the side pockets. Everything is truly brilliantly executed. Here we have a beautiful OLED display that shows all the essential information. You could maybe philosophize a bit here. Could it be a little bigger? Could it perhaps be 16 by 9 to watch a nice YouTube episode of Einfach Elektrisch? There's also no connection to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay because NIO asserts that we're incredibly well connected to the phone via Bluetooth, allowing us to effectively control all the essential functions directly here. Yeah, it's also a philosophical question. I think we didn't miss it on more than 2,000 kilometers, even though Google Maps is just Google Maps. So ultimately, you don't really want to charge. You want to swap instead. So swapping is basically like the modern way of charging, where you can swap out the battery in 5 minutes, as opposed to taking approximately 20 minutes to charge, spending 30 or 40 minutes at the charging station, and whether it works the same way with an EL8 as with the ET7 sedan on the 2,048 kilometers we will now attempt by zigzagging across Germany. I'm really curious to see if it can measure up A in terms of overall efficiency and B, especially taking into account the number of available power swap stations. Yeah, otherwise you have basically all the settings options here and you have a really awesome voice control here with Nomi Mate. So if he has this little figure there. On the dashboard now it's also waving Nomi is a fine person. Or rather a fine machine. They cost extra, otherwise it's simply voice command, but I must say when she winks and waves...
It's really rather adorable.
Isn't it? I think it's sort of like the spice in the soup, somewhat similar to with NIO, don't you agree? Like this...
Distinctive selling feature.
The center console is clean with the gear selector here. You've got the drive mode switch, warm steering light, door lock. Then you've got 2 cup holders here, but you can also fold them up to make it a flat surface, maybe to place a second phone next to it. Here we have an NFC chip integrated. This means that you are able to operate the NIO in a conventional way using a regular key. It looks like this. Depending on the exterior color, it's either anthracite, gray metallic, or white metallic. Equipped with up-to-date features. As you depart, it locks securely. As you get closer, the vehicle unlocks and gives off a welcoming light effect. Or you just have a chip card, a digital card like we know it, for example, from the American supercar manufacturer, where the chip is read once here and then the car knows that you are the owner. Into this chip card, and it goes significantly further in terms of control than the American supercar manufacturer, the charging card is also integrated.
That's good, yeah.
This means you can use the NIO app or, of course, the card to unlock the charging stations accordingly if you're not using the power swapping station. If you plan to use it nearby. And I think there are over 20 in Germany, yes?
And it keeps going.
Then we have this nice and spacious center armrest, which I've filled with numerous items, but you also still have a secure function. That means you can lock this here and basically have something like a lockable glove compartment, also nicely padded, covered with this faux leather with a decent seam. What's really cool is that Nio doesn't have a glove compartment up front, which we'll show you through the door in a moment. Door, because there's a footrest installed, so that when you're being driven, like Stefan will drive me to Rüsselsheim later, I still have to write an article for the D&E magazine, among other things. I can just kick back, work on the laptop from the passenger seat, and Stefan enjoys 653 horsepower and 850 Newton meters, right? What's awesome is this Alcantara lining up here. It's a nice microfiber fabric, very high quality. Like everything in this car, I find it very valuable and therefore more valuable than I've ever experienced with the American supercar manufacturer.
Definitely, yes.
We have a beautiful panoramic glass sliding roof that stretches all the way over the heads of the passengers. It can be opened nice and wide when the weather permits, enhancing the vehicle with a truly nice and enjoyable feature. Just take a look here, and also to let in the fresh and invigorating high Zierese air, which is so refreshing. Well, that's really an amazing story. You can also fold it up just like you're accustomed to seeing. And it proudly features a comprehensive blind, enabling you to conveniently close the headliner right here using the shutter system. Everything is nicely equipped with tactile switches, plus there's an impressively thick, robust blind, again crafted from a luxurious microfiber Alcantara cover. I have to say, it's impressively cohesive and totally insane. You can pick the interior in a sophisticated cognac brown or in a chic light beige. For an extra charge, if the black dark grey option doesn't fully align with your style preferences, and that's what's really cool and innovative, that you can adjust this zero-gravity seating position on all 4 seats of the executive equipment, allowing you to not only work effectively, just as I detailed for you earlier, but also that you can genuinely indulge in a wonderfully soothing and relaxing nap.
Take a little nap, yeah.
I'll treat myself to that later too. Stefan, could you hit the weightlessness button again? Then hopefully the seat will smoothly transition back to its original position. He does that quite quickly as well. The footrest folds in where we might have otherwise expected a glove compartment. And then you can effortlessly enjoy the comfortable seating experience as a passenger in the usual manner. These are the subtle touches you find with NIO that perhaps can stand out and make a noticeable difference in this premium luxury class compared to competitors.
Sure thing, absolutely.
We have the divided center console here featuring a nice spacious compartment. Just one USB-C port, right? Yeah.
I really see only one as well.
I'm not quite sure what's back here.
12-volt sockets there.
The 12-volt socket, I can feel it exactly.
But that's about it.
Exactly, but here in the center console, you would have alternatively also a second USB-C port available. Yes, something that's truly really nice are the seats. They really resemble cozy TV recliner chairs quite a lot. Yeah.
Like an executive chair, a bit wider, a bit softer.
Well, they aren't like sports seats, but I guess you don't want that in an electric SUV, no?
Not necessary, no.
Yeah, sure. When you set the 653 horsepower along with the air suspension to its hardest possible mode, then you might indeed think a bit more support for the thighs could be imagined at one point or another. The lumbar area is cushioned, shoulder pads are good, and there's comfortable lumbar support. I must honestly say I haven't really missed it at all, because truly you're more focused on cruising than performing. I'd say you usually engage the Sport Plus mode when you want to show a gas-powered car body that this thing has acceleration values that feel like a sports car. However, that's more of a masculine display that really doesn't fit well in our modern times anymore. For us, it's all about efficiency. What we always do here is the rattle check. Here we nicely lowered the Alcantara, then the woodline continues. Here's the faux leather, and only down here does the harder plastic come in. I really have to commend Nio for that. It really is quite beautifully and elegantly crafted, and this interior design seamlessly extends all the way into the third row of seats, and for that achievement it deserves a big round of applause. But if we're being honest, starting at 82,900 euros plus battery, you can maybe expect that a little bit. However, it must be said that if you order an EQS SUV and put everything in it, it will easily be 50 grand more expensive.
Certainly so.
Maybe a 60s one, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if I need a third row of seats, and often it's the case with the third row, at the back of the vehicle, that you have limited space. Of course, if you have a family with young kids and are often driving the boys or girls to soccer practice or some other sports activities, then it could really be quite practical, just for a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I guess long distance is really quite uncomfortable, yeah.
Let's take a look at Nio and see how Nio has solved it, and I'll try with my 1.85 meters and my 99.9 kilos. To get into the third row of seats. Initially, the whole seat smoothly and elegantly shifts back electrically, making it easy for me to get in. Look, here nice with some faux leather.
Including the stitching.
It's all really nice and soft. So there, Nio says, go ahead and treat yourself. Yes. So that's where Nio really indulges. And then I kind of squeeze myself through here with my little tummy, maneuvering carefully, and then I plop right into the back seat here. So now I obviously have long legs. But back here, take a look. Everything is nicely wrapped with faux leather, all in Alcantara fabric, and I've got almost a fist's worth of space from my head to the roof, which means that despite the sloping roofline, it remains really quite stylish. Additionally, I have a reasonably spacious pocket here for the cup holder, which is very convenient. A USB-C port, here wrapped in some faux leather and nicely soft padded. I must say, up to 1.75 meters, you sit pretty comfortably back here. Yes?
I think so.
And if you're not somewhat on the chubby side like me, but more like a slender fawn, then I truly believe it can even accommodate 6 adults.
I can do that too, at least for short distances.
Up front, there are also 2 USB ports. This thick, hefty center armrest of the executive package. We'll take a look at that shortly. I have to say, that definitely makes Nio a bit pleasantly different from many competitors that have a third row of seats.
Right. That's really unbelievable. So as soon as the door closes, the eyes immediately shut. Like, yeah.
What's up with you?
Really, like when the door is closed, the eyes close too.
Well, take a look. You have a power nap function available on all 4 seats.
Driver's seat?
Well, definitely not while driving, but when you take a charging break.
All right!
You can easily and effortlessly return everything to its original position with just the simple push of a button, ensuring that the transition remains seamless and extremely convenient for you. So you have to say, that is really an awesome story. So you've really got maximum space back here too. Have a look. You simply move it back again for now. Then hopefully the front seat will once more move forward as well. And in China, a Nio EL8, just like the Nio ET7, is also often used by people who are driven around.
Yes, such fur coats.
And just how fancy it is inside, we'll also show you from the other side as well.
Well, it does look quite big.
I really must say, I have got electric seat adjustment here. I can move everything forwards and backwards. Well, that's just really kind of absolutely quite incredible.
You've even got these comfy pillows for the headrests, which is awesome.
You really do sit here, one must say. Like in Abraham's bosom, you've essentially got 2 different possibilities right here to conveniently park your phone. You've got a nice storage option here with 2 cup holders as well. And the highlight is that back here, through the display, you not only get the 4-zone climate control, which even includes 5 zones, so there's one for the 3rd row of seats as well, but you have pre-selection functions, cool, warm, then also here for the fridge, and that's what I wanted to show. Stefan, I'll open it up. Look, down here in the executive trim, you have such a large cooler compartment.
It's naturally cool.
Which is indeed extremely super cool during the summer for chilling drinks. However, you also have the option to warm food, for example, right here, to effectively heat it up from -10 degrees all the way up to +50 degrees Celsius, offering excellent adaptability for diverse requirements.
Wow.
And I truly believe that this is actually quite a cool story, you know.
Yes, that's really quite good.
Otherwise, you have seat heating installed on all 6 seats here. In the 2 front seats and here in the rear section, you have both seat heating and seat ventilation, plus 4 times massage functionality. And I'll be honest with you, maybe there's nothing more you can do?
No.
Well, that's really at the top level. The only possible downside could be the rigid center armrest, but that's what people want, who mostly travel in 4s, and of course you can't recline it all the way because the seat's mechanics are naturally a bit limited. That might be the only downside of the Nio EL8 for all those who now say, I somehow want to have a trunk volume of 1800 liters by folding down all the seats. You're slightly restricted here.
Yeah, kind of needs to be, yeah.
Honestly, anyone who parks such a premium luxury SUV in their garage or driveway probably also has something in mind if they ever move or something, likely another vehicle, maybe a nice transporter, or some other practical ride like that. If you're interested in transports, feel free to check out our Maxus videos. We also have electric commercial vehicles like the e-Deliver 3, the e-Deliver 7, the e-Deliver 9, the new e-Deliver 5, so there are exciting things like when you want to transport more, yes, otherwise everything back here is very, very premium. Individual seats with nice upholstery, the beautiful bright interior here thanks to the glass roof. And look here, everything covered with faux leather, everything done in a high quality manner. The only thing that might be missing is tables, right?
Like how it folds out sideways in an airplane or, I don't know, from the door panel.
Maybe next, or like in one of those Kalinin planes, fold out a table with a monitor here. Yeah, why not? I think the Chinese are already working on that, absolutely. Otherwise, the door paneling in the back and front in terms of quality is also all done with faux leather. Everything is styled nicely with the button, so I really have to say it does make some strong statements in the premium SUV segment. Absolutely, a BMW iX doesn't even come close, and with the EQS SUV, you almost have to look towards the Maybach level. That will likely cost over 200,000 euros. And then you probably don't even have 653 horsepower. Base power. So from that point of view, NIO really offers something special.
Absolutely. Additionally, we have 4 child ISOFIX points on all the seats in the back. That's really not bad either.
Especially if you have 4 smaller children who still need child seats, it's perfect, right?
Sure.
We've shown you everything outside, we've shown you everything inside. Now we want to test out the 653 horsepower and 850 Newton meters of torque from the 2 electric motors for you. The Nio E8, a robust and spacious 5.10-meter-long electric SUV, features an impressively compact turning circle of 12.40 meters. And that's really quite impressive. Some of the competitors notably managed to reduce the turning circle with advanced rear axle steering technology. For instance, in the Porsche market, cars achieve such results using 5 degrees, while the EQS SUV goes up to a full 10 degrees of rear axle steering, cutting the turning circle by about 1 meter 40. Such advanced technology proves incredibly beneficial in crowded urban areas where frequent turning is required. In these environments, having a nimble and highly responsive electric SUV that maneuvers exceptionally well is absolutely crucial, especially when navigating tight parking spaces that we might want to try for ourselves. To drive in here with the Nio EL8, we're assisted by an advanced 360-degree camera system with guidelines to help us fit into tight spots. However, given the snug angle, it's safer not to attempt that, Stefan, as we want to avoid damaging the press vehicle. Instead, we'll take a cautious approach by handling it manually using the side mirrors. This method might be a bit slower and requires more attention, but it guarantees safe and precise parking, making it the best choice here. As we learned back in 1993, I think this method will let us fit nicely into the parking spot here as well, right? What I think is quite beneficial are the centimeter specifications. You even have the option here to switch to a 3-dimensional view, which can be really helpful for your colleagues. For those who aren't particularly skilled at handling their rims when parking near the curb, you have a variety of adjustment options available here, including the left-right view option that can be quite useful. I believe that Nio offers one of the most advanced and sophisticated camera systems available. Yes, I actually want to look forward again now, that's possible too. Then I have the front camera with guidelines again in case I'm not sure where the radius of my car ends. Because when we look over the long hood here, I truly do find it to be quite remarkably easy to see. Well, I probably wouldn't have needed the guideline quite as much. Let's go ahead and drive over the cobblestone here, which makes a bit of noise in the back. These are just our water bottles, but otherwise nothing much really rattles or leaks around here at all. Yeah?
Today it's over.
Here comes the massive fat giant pothole featured in all our videos. And, indeed I must say it is remarkably comfortably firm. We'll be taking you along our serpentine winding road here where the route moves up and down extensively quite a bit. In this area, we also experience a few nice load transfers where the up and down movements tend to push the car downward a bit, right here in the dip. And you really get a remarkably good sense of driving, even though you're more like sitting at a dining table rather than experiencing it directly with the seat of your pants on the ground.
Correct, sitting a bit higher up.
In my opinion, Nio truly stands out with their air suspension system. It strikes a very impressive balance between being firm and comfortable. The Nio EL8 is not a cushy ride, I just want to say that, and the only thing I see somewhat constructively critical is the steering. That's why I'm accustomed to a sports car from Zuffenhausen having really very direct steering. And there you tend to get the impression that she responds with a delay of approximately half a second or so, which simply doesn't provide you with that performance feeling, similar to what you get with a direct steering system, mainly due to the vehicle's weight and its construction form, where you end up sitting as if at a dining table. Perhaps in a future facelift, Nio could enhance certain aspects slightly, creating an overall experience that really... You get an even more direct steering feel because you can fine-tune it even more precisely, especially in borderline situations. However, otherwise just purely... Rocking motions are very, very minimal. That is actually quite good for an electric SUV.
Yeah, it's pleasant.
I've switched over to Sport Plus mode. Now it should accelerate to 100 in approximately 4.1 seconds.
Let's see what he can do.
I'm curious how it performs. 2.633 tons is the empty weight, right? Yes, correct. So with us, it's probably around 2.8 tons. Start the countdown, Stefan.
3, 2, 1, get ready, and off we go.
And there he goes, 30, 50, 70, 90, 100, and we slam hard on the brakes. He's got these really massive and robust brakes. They pull strongly, but oh, you can almost feel it in the hooves, can't you? It's quite impressive how effectively they handle the pressure.
Yes. So we've got these figures like 0 to 60 achieved in 2.3 seconds, 0 to 100 in 4.34, and coming to a stop from 100 to 0 in 5.4 seconds.
So those are really top values, and even if it's a little above the manufacturer's specifications, we've got winter tires on, there's a slight slip, the road is still damp, and to just deliver 2.6 tons, or with us 2.8 tons like this, that's just brilliant. Air suspension is at its hardest setting, we're at the lowest level. That means you can also adjust the height of the air suspension, and we want to kind of glide along here a bit. And you can truly notice that it's definitely an SUV. Oh yes, it has a tendency to sway a little more gently than the sedan typically does. Yes, and if it were equipped with that more direct steering, it might potentially convey an even greater sense of safety and a more secure driving feel for the driver. I believe for an electric SUV of this size and weight, it really does an impressively damn good job indeed. And NIO successfully manages to achieve an impressively good spread there. We'll be making the U-turn now, and of course we'll perform a second acceleration test going in the other direction. Because somehow I'm hoping we'll break 4.1, right?
Let's take a moment to check and see how it unfolds.
U-turn's done the other way. Stefan, start a countdown. 3,
2 there.
1, go. And there he accelerates rapidly. 30, 50, 70, 90, 100. And then we slam on the brakes once again with full force, repeating that action a second time with precision, full...
Pulley 2, so there's no fading there. I have to say that wasn't bad. What does Draghi say? We now have 0.60 in 3.67, 0.100 in 5.78, and 100 to 0 in 6.07, 0.100 in 5.78. It was a bit weaker just now. I mean, this has been going uphill, but it feels like...
That was almost the same in terms of acceleration. Absolutely odd. We want to repeat the route with you in eco mode and take the curve again here with the S curve. And it manages to do that even in eco mode. I must say decent. In eco mode it's not quite as tight as in Sport Plus mode, but still has, I think, enough power. Also over the dome here, now it goes right into the knee bend. He's doing it quite properly. As I mentioned, the steering could definitely be a little bit more direct to provide us with a noticeably improved and better driving experience. Even here in the dip, it pushes through very nicely without actually bottoming out completely. Honestly, there's really nothing at all to criticize about the undercarriage, is there now?
No, that's really nicely designed.
The brakes are top, acceleration top, so hats off to Nio, you've truly managed to create a real highlight here. We want to measure the inside noise with you at 50 kilometers an hour. 52, 53 decibels, which is incredibly quiet for a car. We are cruising along at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour. It's 54, 55 decibels right now, and we are currently accelerating up to reach 100, driving steadily at 100 kilometers per hour. (62, 63 decibels. These are absolute top values, Stefan. Just for comparison, a Mercedes S-Class has 50 kilometers per hour, 56, 57 decibels. We're 45 decibels below that. It's a huge milestone. So the double glazing and also the extremely good insulation are really noticeable in the Nio EL8. And that was also our impression when we drove it, that it solves it very, very well, similar to the Cadillac Lyriq. Yes.
EL8.
However, I believe with the Cadillac Lyriq, that's also supported by some noise composing. I'm unsure if the Nio vehicle actually comes with noise cancelling. It probably doesn't. However, Nio confidently promises the most advanced assistance systems, which notably include cutting-edge LiDAR technology. And we want to test that here on the country road because on the highway, many systems can do that by now. But Nio manages really well here on the country road. In my opinion, it performs extremely well, even though we encounter quite a number of inclines and challenges here. The middle is very nice on the lane, even though we are not driving as usual with 90 or 100, but only with 70 because we have very, very heavy traffic on the B96 today. Capacitive steering wheel, meaning 3 fingers on it suffice for it to know we're attentive. The only drawback, in my opinion, with the assistance systems is that it doesn't give us any warnings. Adjust the speed, meaning proactively from navigation data, from camera systems, recognizing the speed that you are allowed to drive, for example, right at the entrance sign of the town. But that he basically recognizes it a bit later, perhaps through the camera system. And in that situation, you basically need to make a manual adjustment either upwards or downwards on the steering wheel. That means it now indicates a new speed of 50. You basically have to confirm it here with a button press, which I actually don't want when I'm semi-autonomously driving. There are enough systems that can do it by now, like all Volkswagen Group vehicles, plus BMW and Mercedes, of course, also some French vehicles. I would like Nio to adapt that for Europe and say, hey, if it's 50, we naturally want to drive 50. And if it's 100, it should stay right at the town exit sign. Let's just keep going there. Then automatically accelerate back up to 100 kilometers per hour because it should hopefully recognize the approaching town exit sign soon. There's a bit of the truck still in the way, but it should indeed work just fine for the detection. Then it ought to display, hey, you can drive 100 now, and yes, it does. And then I have to confirm it again. And sometimes you're just in a routine or on a call or somehow distracted by the passengers that you just forget to press it. Just on impulse, and then you keep strolling along. People wonder why you don't drive faster, and one wonders why the Nio doesn't go faster even though it could go 100. That's correct, yes. So it ends up triggering a sort of minor chain reaction to kick off once again. That might perhaps be the only adjustment I would still genuinely wish for at this moment. What you'll find included as standard in the Nio EL8 is an incredibly advanced cutting-edge sound system that is from the latest generation. That really hits hard, doesn't it?
It truly possesses a distinctive sense of beauty indeed. This indicates that
the car is equipped with Dolby Atmos, offering a 7.1 setup with apparently 1,000 speakers meticulously placed throughout the entire vehicle. Fits well on all three seats. It also creates great surround sound, yes.
Also genuinely quite enjoyable overall.
For example, it also recognizes the focus, whether you're traveling with one person, two people, or 4 or 6 people, and then adjusts the volume accordingly for the seating arrangements. So this is really an awesome system. We want to talk with you about consumption. Regrettably, Nio continues to lack an onboard computer system where you can personally press the reset button yourself to conveniently track and measure the consumption for particular routes and paths on your own. For over 2 years, I've wished for a software update, hoping that Nio would eventually improve and fix that issue. Feedback can be given through voice control, and I have often done so in tested vehicles. But they haven't listened to my feedback yet.
No, not yet.
Result for the last 100 kilometers should be a consumption of 22.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We mainly putted through the countryside and villages here, of course. We also measured the acceleration and fuel consumption with you and so on. You can see it here in the spikes in acceleration and recuperation, and therefore I think it's actually quite okay for such a good 2.6 ton, 5.1 meter electric SUV at 9 degrees outside temperature.
That's fine for the Colossus, yes.
We will now drive approximately 7, 8, 9 or even 10 kilometers through New Brandenburg. As we make our way to the highway, we want to take some time with you to closely examine what a Nio EL8 consumes over the final stretch of about 10 kilometers. When it is driven through the busy city. Yet, as intriguing as the fuel consumption is, the comfort during travel is also equally important. We already have quite a bit of experience through the countryside and bustling city, and we also possess, in my opinion, very impressive and reliable neutral means to thoroughly determine that. And that essentially means Stefan's popometer, and we are eager to hear its reading for today for the very first time.
Yeah, I truly have to say, as I mentioned earlier, these are really wonderful chairs in here. The seating comfort is just so incredibly comfortable. Even as a passenger, you can really feel it. Adjust everything precisely the way you prefer it. Whether high, low, or any other setting, it's simply all possible. Thighs up? Yes. Hold firmly on the sides here? Yes. Perhaps it could be adjusted to be a bit higher, then you wouldn't slide around quite as much and maintain a more secure position. But it's fine. And as for the lateral support, that actually fits everything as well. Because the seats are nicely soft, it automatically sinks in a bit. I find the suspension really quite pleasant, offering a nice, comfortable feel. Yet it remains firm so the car doesn't sway or wobble, maintaining stability effectively. Well, everything's pretty nice.
I can generally affirm this feeling to a large extent. Particularly when it comes to the load change reactions, it really has a great and noticeable spread that stands out. This innovative air suspension system utilizes cameras to adapt smoothly and efficiently to the road and driving situation using advanced sensor technology. I believe Nio has truly pulled off a notable and impressive coup there. As I previously mentioned, I would prefer a slightly more direct steering to complement the chassis, simply to address situations from a feeling standpoint more effectively and also to navigate significantly more precisely in curves than with this perceived half-second time delay. In the end, it is clearly not really designed to be a pure driving machine. We have here 2.6 tons, we have a high buildup, which means the center of gravity goes up a bit due to the SUV form, which is usually an advantage with sedans. The lower the center of gravity is, the more we kind of stick to the asphalt. And you naturally have a seating position more like at a dining table, rather than sitting nicely with your bottom on the ground. And that obviously offers a completely different feeling compared to being in a limousine or a sports car. But on the other hand, I believe for those who are interested in such an electric SUV, it offers exactly what they want. Ride comfort, but also a certain firmness in specific driving situations to be a bit of a corner raider. He has strong brakes, and he barely has any tilt or sway movements, so you have to give him credit for that, unlike some other SUVs, when you accelerate to the maximum. Tilts backwards, and when you brake hard, it tilts forwards. Of course, it has the movement, but I still find it within an acceptable range. Well, we've come to expect something quite different from other Chinese people on our channel, particularly when we look towards our fellow colleagues at BYD. He doesn't do any of those things. He doesn't sway or wobble either, so it's really very stable there. We've just passed through New Brandenburg and it's currently 9 degrees Celsius. Over the last 10 kilometers, we've registered a consumption of around 13.5 kilowatt hours for every 100 kilometers. Excellent city consumption.
Sure, yeah.
So if you calculate it even on the 90 kilowatt hours net, you can achieve a good 600-700 kilometers in the city with an EL8.
Yes, that could work, yes.
And in the summer, he'll probably use even a little less. You see, I also have a few spikes in there, so I've been keeping up with the traffic quite briskly and haven't been trying to eco-drive here.
Not at all, not at all. Just like normal, you know. We went with the flow.
And with that, let's come to the interim conclusion, which is just a temporary one because we are indeed planning to create 2 more videos with the EL8 specifically for you. We'll soon have the consumption run along with the detailed charging check and later another extensive road trip where we aim to share in depth our everyday experiences with the EL8 over a journey of 1,500 kilometers. Yes, over land, in the city, acceleration, braking, it's all really brilliant with the EL8. There's definitely a bit less to find fault with here. Perhaps it's simply that in particular. Topics, you're not really all that especially flexible. We don't have Apple CarPlay, we don't have Android Auto, which can sometimes be quite nice for the simplicity in everyday life, especially when you want to listen to music and your favorite podcast. You end up having to rummage around in your phone a lot more extensively than you can comfortably manage here on the control panel. Yeah, I think design inside and out is really just about taste.
Sure thing.
And what you also have to acknowledge is, for all those who might prefer a 5-seater now with a large trunk, Nio currently does not offer that option. They are consistently 6-seaters, available with or without the executive package. Personally, I could envision myself as more of the type who prefers a 5-seater. These are lovely classic rear benches that might be adjustable to some extent, where you can also fold down the seats if you need to transport larger items at times. Perhaps I'm missing that as an exhibition option. Yes,
That would have been pretty cool.
what would certainly be beneficial as well would be a bit more direct steering. I think we went into that intensively. And yeah, apart from that, I believe we have a very modern, insane electric SUV, which is expected to have its benefits for longer journeys thanks to the innovative battery swapping system, where you have the ability to exchange an empty battery for a 91% charged battery in approximately 5 minutes, which can currently hold no competitions in Germany.
And that's enjoyable too.
Exactly. So if you're interested in exploring that subject a bit further in advance, feel free to watch the road trip video of the Nio ET7, where we drove all the way from Neustrelitz to Zurich and then back again. Swap only, indeed.
Sure.
And with that, we've now reached the conclusion of today's video. I truly hope you found it enjoyable. You give it a thumbs up. Please check again if you're part of the Incidence Electric community. If not, we would be happy if you support us with your subscription. This way, you definitely won't miss the second or third videos. We sincerely thank you for tuning in to watch. Wishing you good health and see you very soon. Yours truly, Ollie, you, Stefan. He definitely already has a shark's fin. We simply can't overlook that.
I think there's at least one camera included as well, so it's not entirely wasted like usual.
But is that really a justification? Because you could have also placed the camera down here, right?
Yes, that would have been an option too.
Well, I'm not sure. Feel free to write in the comments how you see it with Shark Glossary.